Welcome to the very first episode of Night Talks. This is episode 1 of our video podcast, where I'm joined with my brother Bryce, who is sitting right here. And
I'm Billy Docs.
Yeah, we can call him Billy Docs. If you see him on our Discord server, Billy, he's going to be right there as Billy Docs. He doesn't really come in very often to the Discord, but as it happens with family, you find it easy to talk to family members, and it's always really fascinating for me to get to talk to him. Why don't you take a second to just kind of tell us a little bit about you, like what you're into, just casual, just whatever stuff.
Hi, Bryce. It's Billy Docs on the Discord, but most of everything else, it's Billy Goat. I kick anthills for fun. Yeah. So really, man.
You know, that was crazy because like back in college, I remember we were both taking classes at the community college, and we would just we would find all these giant Texas red ant hills, and that was the first thing that we would do is just kick over every single one we had. And you started it.
Oh yeah. I absolutely claim credit for that. Are you serious?
Right. We've got a few topics that we're going to be talking about, just discussing. We haven't really rehearsed anything, but got my Streamlabs all set up here, got my Stream Deck. So hopefully I can actually do this properly here. We're doing this pretty bare bones, off the cuff. NightDocs too hot for TV. That's for damn sure, for sure.
Can't quite make it on actual TV.
That's right. And we're vibing here. I got my Shiner, and yeah, that's right. So to the very first episode of Night Talks. Here we go. And to figuring this out as we go along.
I guess before we get too much further, what are you working on right now?
What am I
working on the channel?
Yeah, so that was one thing that we were...
How'd I do, by the way? That's like the only part that we rehearsed, guys.
Right, yeah.
That's it. Was that okay?
You know, Bryson's like, okay, we got to start with this thing where we just kind of, we got to give you a chance to do an update on the channel. So that was our one part that we rehearsed.
Yeah. I didn't even have to ask for my line or anything. All right. So anyways, yeah. So what's going on?
So working on the Beast of Jevedon video that you guys have been seeing me work on quite a bit for this crazy 100-hour subathon. I still can't believe it ended up that way because it ended up being, so I started it with 2 hours on the timer. And the way things work is, so Bryce is not super familiar with Twitch or any of that stuff. This is
fucking clue what's going on.
Right. And so the way it works is you start off with a timer, and there's a little widget you can install. And every time somebody donates or every time somebody does something with money that goes towards your channel, it adds time to the channel, or it adds time to the timer.
Oh, God.
And so
no wonder it went so long.
But the thing is, I went with every $5 is 10 minutes, which is a lot, honestly. $5 is a lot, is what I mean.
Sure, yeah.
And I actually went and looked up on YouTube stuff on what would actually be an appropriate thing for people just starting off.
Yeah.
And so they gave me some numbers. This much time for this many dollars is a good way to start off. And Hina, which is one of the biggest people that is in the chat, probably, honestly, she's not here because she would already have said something. Phil, what's up? Phil was actually the guy that added the last little bit of push, actually. No, Lil Ruse was, but Phil was right before Lil Ruse. But anyway, at the very beginning, it started off with 2 hours and very quickly went to 60 hours. And by the end of the stream, I had streamed straight for 100 hours straight. It was insane.
That's phenomenal, but I don't at all.
So right now what I'm doing here is reason I'm having trouble switching between scenes right now is I'm still setting up some scenes here. But
Bill says you got 4.5 hours while you were asleep.
Are you serious? Wow.
Apparently you have some just phenomenal.
Jim lost his mind, but thankfully kept his pants. Actually, Teak, you missed it. I think the second night I went to sleep, I was in straight underwear, man. I didn't even care. So we're going to add our little chat box here.
I think I'm just old as hell. What is Pog?
Somebody explain it to me, because I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with Pog too. Like, I think it's just a sound you make. Is that what it is?
The only thing that I know is like back in the 90s, I was in grade school and we had Pogs, like the little cardboard things. Do you remember those?
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking about was Pogs.
So you think that I understand that.
All right, so the first topic I want to talk about, and we're just going to get right into it, was UFOs. And Bryce here is a little skeptical.
Wait, we need to back up just a second. Where the fuck is Hum Part 2?
Oh, the Hum Part 2. Hum Part 2 is coming, guys. The Hum Part 2.
Soon.tm.
Yeah, so the Hum is definitely coming. The big issue that I've had is just I get burned out on topics. And so after Hum Part 1, I needed a break from it. And so I moved on to some other stuff. And then, unfortunately, the momentum on a lot of these other projects really took over. And so it took more than the backseat than I was anticipating for it to. So I did a community post on YouTube where I mentioned that the Hum Part 2 will come out after the next 2 videos that I'm doing. So I'm doing the Beast of Jevedon. Then after that is a video I'm doing on Kim Il-sung. And then we'll dive into the Hum Part 2. What do you think about that? Is that enough of an update?
I think that's enough of an update, yeah.
Okay.
The Beast of Jevedon, I'm pronouncing it horribly, but that looks awesome. I'm really excited for that one. That looks just awesome beyond all measure. I'm super hyped for that. I'm not much of a... I wish I could go into more detail about how stoked I am, but it looks really, really stinking good.
You're talking the Beast of Jevedon one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see.
See, that's where I know I'm onto something then, because I'm always like, Bryce, look at this.
Yeah, that's pretty much your entire life, though.
Yeah.
It's my entire life so far.
And so I'm always showing him like everything. And so by the time he actually sees a video that's finally out, I've already shown him like everything like a million times. So I've been trying, to my own credit, I have been trying really hard to get that under control.
Yeah.
So that there is some kind of surprise.
I had to put like a little bit of a boundary because like trying to like show someone a painting that isn't done yet, it just changes your opinion of everything. And especially with your videos, I feel like I want to wait until the whole thing is done so that I can actually see the finished product. Because if I see like everything that you do working on it, I don't know, it takes away some of the enjoyment of it.
I get that. I do.
I know you like. I'm exactly the same way.
I get excited, man.
I don't blame you at all. I'm exactly the same way. Anytime I do anything like, hey, mommy, like macaroni, like turkey or whatever. But
we're up to a whole 7 viewers, guys. This is going better than expected. And Double Crispy was saying Bryce needs more volume or needs the mic closer. I did just adjust his mic. I actually did the manual adjustment to his mic and put it all the way up to the top. So hopefully it'll be a little better. It's going to get a little bumpy here. 1 second while I move this. There we go. I'm just pointing it directly at your face hole.
Oh.
Yes. Make out with the masses. Teak is saying his name is not actually Teak. No, your name's Teak. Sorry.
I don't know Dolly Parton's 9 to 5, but
I don't remember the rest. I know that part.
Yeah, give me.
That's Dolly Parton's most famous song.
I've listened to exactly 0 of Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton is an amazing woman, and I will die on that hill.
Oh, I feel like these monitors are actually making things more difficult for me. All right, you guys are in charge of monitoring the monitor. The headphones are just.
I just wanted to give him a monitor so he could feel like he's on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I don't know. It made me feel more official.
That's right. So, back to the topic at hand. The most important topic: UFOs.
Yep.
Give me your honest opinion on what's going on with the UFOs based on your understanding. I know you haven't been following it as much as I have. But
I'm certainly not to the same extent that you have been, but I'm of the opinion that if they are legitimately from an extraterrestrial source, then it doesn't affect us in any capacity, not to a level where we would actually need to change our daily lives or have it actually impact anything that's going on in our lives. But what's far more likely to me is that they're just not real. Like, if they would be, then we would have more direct evidence of it. Like, in the same way that...
So what kind of direct evidence would be sufficient for you?
Like, just a clean photo. Just a clean video. Take me to your leader. Okay. Someone standing there actually saying, hello, I'm from another planet, but in a weird language that we don't understand. Something that lines up without it being like, wow, that's a fuzzy video of whatever, and we can't explain it, so it must be aliens.
So I'm not sure if you've seen this.
I've seen some of these, but...
So this is the cleanest photo we have so far. of the UAP phenomenon. So this was taken by a fighter pilot. And so there's two things that you see here. This was the big one that I remember seeing here. Okay, that's good. That's muted. So there's the famous Tic Tac. These are confirmed by the U.S. military
as a unidentified,
and that's very
object,
important.
but that doesn't mean that it's an alien.
Right. Exactly, and that's an important thing. It's an important distinction here. But these pilots, I mean, you yourself, did you ever get top secret clearance when you're in the military?
If I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Okay.
Actually, I probably could, but I didn't.
I think you could.
No, I didn't. I had what is called just. Actually, now I'm actually questioning myself.
What are the different classifications? Because there's
just to be clear, guys, I haven't been in the military in a while, but I was in the Air Force for 5 years. I didn't do anything exciting, so just
he bought the toilet paper for the base.
But also the people who clean up the toilet paper after you leave the bathroom.
You bought the people that are we about
Slavery
to
never stopped.
Really, that's capitalism as it is. Really, capitalism is just a legal way to buy people.
Well, sure, but then we also have.
If you really want to get into oh yeah, prison labor. And honestly, here's the thing:
we're going off of the UFO topic pretty quick, but
I don't even care at this point. Let me just ask you: what's the difference between slavery and working a wage with a non-compete clause where you're not allowed to work for somebody else?
That's complete bullshit. There shouldn't be non-compete clauses. Shouldn't even be legal.
I agree. I just wanted to get your take on it, honestly, because that's something I just thought of just now. And the late stage capitalism that we're in, you see all sorts of crazy stuff like that. But
there are certain situations where I can at least understand it on some level. If you are an engineer working for GM and your job is to invent solutions to engineering problems, maybe don't have another job where you can go and sell your plans to somebody else or provide the best ideas to the other person, something like that. But if they fire you or you quit, then some of these non-compete clauses, it's not even just you can't have another job while you're working for us. It's you can't have a job for a competitor of this company for a year or something like that, like multiple months, and it's outrageous.
And thank you guys very much for the bits and the cheers and the subscriptions and all that. Highly encouraged, and we really appreciate that. We are going to be doing a few question and answer sections here. The first one we're going to be doing comes up in about 5 minutes. If any of you have any questions for us at all, you can ask them right in chat. We are monitoring chat here and there. The questions that are accompanied by donations and cheers and bits and things like that will obviously get priority here. One thing that I forgot to do at the very beginning, because we just ran out of time, was do a scripted sort of introduction to this podcast. And basically what I really wanted to communicate is that this podcast that we're going to be doing is viewer funded, and so we'll only be able to do this with the help of our subscribers and the patrons over on patreon.com/NightDocs. And really appreciate you guys being willing to chip in and help out. But back to the topic at hand with the UAPs, though. So do you understand how the UAP task force started? Do you know much about that?
Let's just have you repeat it.
Okay, so so I will just say right now that I was a full-blown skeptic, and I will admit fully that I tend to get a little too excited about some things once in a while.
No, you?
Yeah, but I do still have, I feel, a rational brain. Would you agree with me there at least? I have a rational brain that
absolutely.
I do still have a bullshit meter.
Oh yeah.
And when the UFO community, I always disregarded it because there's never been any real proof or anything like that. And to this day, we still don't have proof. But what's different now, we've got 69 and 420 from Phil. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're trying to have an intelligent conversation, but that's all right. No, let's go back to high school.
It's very appreciated. It's just distracting because I'm an immature imbecile myself. No, you're not an imbecile. I've been nursing this jack, so just disregard anything stupid I say.
But latch on to everything smart, he says.
Right, latch on to all the intelligent things I say and disregard all the stupid nonsense. That's how this works. Thank you, Teak. And then, oh, that's a good question we'll get to. Well, we're gonna talk about this until 8:40, and then we'll get to good questions here. What was I saying?
You were talking about UAPs. You have a rational brain.
Okay. Either way, back in 2017, New York Times comes up with an article, and it was titled something along the lines of "Secret No More." And the Pentagon revealed the existence of a UAP task force that was led by a guy named Lou Elizondo. And Lou Elizondo was the director of this task force. Lots of military, top secret security clearance history, all of that stuff. Very credible guy. And he was tasked with taking all these different reports of just objects that were flying in our airspace that we could not identify. And that's why I'm trying to mix up the way that I describe these so that it'll latch onto somebody's brain in a way that's not just unidentified flying object. And the government actually sees these as a national security threat. As they are in our airspace. And what I find the most interesting,
the greatest and most potent fear is the fear of the unknown. If we don't know what it is, that's a threat.
And what's really got me really intrigued with this is a vast quantity of these sightings, almost disproportionately, are over nuclear test sites. Places where we have nuclear technology, whether they're reactors or weapons, things like that. And they seem to be, and we've never had any overt hostile actions from them. There's always those stories of like abductions.
Yeah, but if we have a greater number of sightings around those sites, where are we going to have the most monitoring happening? That's where we're going to be looking.
That is certainly a point to make, but the types of people that are reporting stuff, though, like they're usually layman, they're everyday people like you and I. Yeah. And the government, who is usually over our nuclear testing facilities and things like that, they've got a pretty strong history. I think you'd agree that they're not going to publish all of this stuff all the time. In fact, up until really about 2017, people were disincentivized from even reporting strange phenomena that they were seeing. But
I don't know. I think just in general that if there was anyone that would benefit from having an exterior unknown threat of potentially superior technology to our own, it would be the Department of Defense.
Absolutely.
So they would be they would be garnering the greatest benefit of telling everyone we have aliens and we should just dump more and more funding into the Department of Defense. So if there is some kind of cover-up or something like that, to me is the part that doesn't make sense.
And so there was a cover-up, though, and it's well documented. In fact, we have documents basically saying that are left over from the CIA from the 60s. We had Project Blue Book. And if you're not familiar with Project Blue Book, was actually the first attempt at the government to actually catalog these events.
But having a task force in charge of investigating something that you don't understand, that's a lot different than saying it's aliens. If you don't know if there is something happening that you don't understand, of course you're going to want to investigate it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's aliens or something like that.
So here's why I actually do think it could be aliens, and I'm not willing to die on this hill.
And just to be clear, I'm not saying it is definitively not aliens. It's just I'm not personally convinced yet.
So where I have hope, and honestly, I will fully admit that this is one of those times where I'm letting my rational brain give way to hope. And the more because the thing is, I'm trying to convince myself, honestly, that it's not aliens or something like that. But the thing is, there are witnesses, very credible witnesses, and we can get into it in more detail if you want, but there are witnesses and data, verifiable data, showing that these things are moving in such a way with such crazy technology that the biggest experts in the field of physics and propulsion say that it's hundreds, if not thousands of years away in terms of what we as human beings are capable of. Now, there's an argument to be made that people always vastly underestimate what we humans are capable of doing.
I mean, sure.
But it's such a leap. In fact, the Navy, who has actually taken it upon themselves to really document and talk about these things, and they're the ones that have basically been in charge of these UAP task forces, they have actually started patenting help me.
Patenting.
They're filing
They are
patents.
filing patents.
They're filing patents.
I think mostly your I think that messed it up for me. Just you screwing it up. I blame you.
This is working. I'll just tell you.
I haven't had any of it.
You want some?
No.
One of us
I have
has
beer.
I'll go back to beer. But let me find it here. So,
But just because they're filing for patents doesn't actually mean anything either. Companies, governments, they file for patents literally constantly. As soon as someone has an idea,
but
they're filing those patents. Because as soon as you do that, then if anyone ever does it, actually makes it, actually manufactures this thing, if you already have the patent, then you can sue them for just bajillions of dollars. There are companies who literally do nothing but file patents.
Sure.
And then just sue people who produce technology that's even remotely similar to it. So,
correct me if I'm wrong here. With patents, doesn't the technology have to work though?
No, not at all. No, there are so many patents out there. People and companies and our government, they're filing patents all the time over hypothetical and untested technology, just because they work up some schematics and things like that and produce some level of theory behind it so that it looks legit, but they never actually have to produce the technology in order for the patent to be there.
So what I'm trying to pull up here, so the reason I'm bringing up the patents is the U.S. Navy filed all these different patents for technology that is just so far outside the realm of what we are actually capable of. And these images right up here are some diagrams that list what they're the figures that you use as schematics and show what. This one in particular, this one on the top right and on the top bottom left here, they're the same. They're from the same patents. These match precisely the footage that was taken by U.S. Navy personnel off of a warship off the California coast. The big triangle one. Have you seen the footage of the triangle? The triangles flying around the U.S. Navy warship. That's one of the most compelling.
But that's the thing, is if I was in charge, yeah, if I saw some technology that I didn't understand, that's the whole thing. Is you do the patent immediately so that you can have ownership over the idea before you have the capability of manufacturing it. You grab that patent so that you have the right to do that.
So look at this footage here. Look at that.
It is.
So it's still admittedly a fuzzy blob. It's not the bokeh effect, which is what people have been trying to say, because you've still got noise.
It's not.
You've still got noise, and it's something.
Sure.
But the fact that our own government and the governments of our adversaries are all scrambling to try and figure out what this is. And then if you look at it in the historical context of how these match up with the descriptions that are in the historical record of what pilots have seen, and it seems to be pilots that seem to see these things a lot too, and they end up flying with them quite a bit. It's really amazing because the pilots are the ones that I really give the most amount of credibility to, because they're extremely intelligent. They have to be, in order for the U.S. government to give them a $40 to $200 million plane that they're flying, whether it's an F-16 or an F-22 or something like that.
They also have to be arrogant bastards.
They do.
I can say that because I've met them.
What's that joke you told me that one time?
Oh, it's the same joke that they use for vegans and everybody else is, you don't have to, how do you find out if someone is a vegan or a pilot in this case? And it's, don't worry, they'll tell you.
Right? Yeah, that's a good one. I like
that's the joke. But, and I am being, facetious before anyone destroys me in the comments here. But yeah.
No, you got people backing you up, man. We got a small little audience here too.
But it's still the internet.
And okay, and Double Crispy here brings up a good point that people have drafted patents for warp drive tech.
Yep,
too.
they have the Alcaberry warp drive.
Yep. Okay, we're like past the time when I said we were gonna get to some questions.
Just real
here.
quick though, Nikola Tesla. That's actually a really good example of someone who actually just kept fucking making technology, manufacturing the technology, but never actually, like, he did it in reverse. Like, he just never got to the patents, and so other people would get his patents before he could, and so it caused some real problems.
I did not know about that.
Now, if you do manufacture something and you file a patent within a certain time frame as someone else, then you do get priority because you're the one that actually made it does help in the approval process if you're the one that actually like comes to the building with, okay, so I made the thing, oh, we already have that patent, that's crazy, I have it, they're going to give you some leverage there. Anyways, go ahead.
John Mill about 10 minutes ago gifted a tier 1 sub. I just want to say thank you very much. I want to get to some questions that we had here. Teak had asked an interesting one. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, it was one he cheered with some bits here. Why don't you go ahead and read that one out? Because it was actually a question for you, Bryce. I highlighted it right
Yes. The question is, Bryce, do you think you could take Jym in a fight? Yes.
It's entirely possible. I think
I might be skinny, but I'm wiry.
Yeah, I think I would.
If anyone knows the movie that's from, I'll be impressed.
I think I'd break you like a toothpick, but you know. But
honestly, I'm being facetious. I have no idea.
Yeah, I honestly don't think about it.
I've never been in like a real fight or anything like that. I consider myself to be a pacifist that also understands that violence is sometimes necessary, but I do think it is the last option.
Yeah. In fact, Dad actually, when he was raising us, like he would get
fuck you too, Teak.
Yeah. Like Dad,
I'll fight you both.
When Dad was raising us, he was like, dude, he would get so mad if we would get even into a scuffle or whatever. Like,
he'd get mad at you.
That's true. I was the oldest, so yeah. I'm drunk, but yeah, like we would just
Warren. Yeah, Chris, you could probably take both of us.
Yeah. Chris could absolutely take either of us for sure. Here's the thing. I'm the shortest person in our family except for Mom. Like, there's you. Well, how tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
Yeah. So Bryce is like 6'1". Yeah. Chris here, he knows it too. I could take both of you. He knows it. Yeah.
No, and that's why I made the comment.
I'm not even gonna argue.
I can take you both. I was like, no argument. Yep, yeah, absolutely.
No, he absolutely could.
Please don't fight me.
No, but I mean, Dad would like. He was like, there's always another option besides fighting and stuff.
And I'm a product of that same mentality. I absolutely agree.
The thing is, I do, as
to a certain extent. That's why I say pacifist, that I still have an understanding that violence is sometimes necessary.
I'll
do
fuck
think
shit up, man.
Yeah, but I do think that there's almost always a better way.
Yeah.
Almost always. But there is a certain level where it doesn't work anymore.
So we've got only about 9 minutes left on the first episode of Night Talks here.
That went fast.
It does. But we're gonna try and keep this to about an hour show every time.
Let me see if there's any other questions here that are good.
Yeah, do we got any other questions? Oh, what do you guys think? Teak asks, what do you guys think of people who believe the moon landing was faked? That one, I get really,
it's stupid.
It's just, there's so much proof. And my favorite is that I think somebody was doing a documentary recently where they actually were able to, in real time, shoot lasers at the moon because they left reflector panels on the moon. Because one of the purposes of the moon missions, one of the scientific experiments they did was they left these reflector panels. And when you shoot lasers, because we know what the speed of light is, you can measure very accurately the distance between the Earth and the moon by shooting these lasers and getting them reflected back at the telescopes.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah. And so they performed that very simple test at an observatory and shot these lasers at the moon and had them beam right back.
They just had the intern out there in the parking lot with the laser pointer.
They actually showed the laser and it was basically hooked up to the telescope, I think, if I remember right. It was a long time ago that I saw this. Yeah, Teak brings up a good point there. Yeah, that lots of people have done it, and it's referenced in the Big Bang Theory. You can do this experiment yourself. Show. Yeah, Big Bang Theory is trash, but that's the thing. Like Big Bang Theory, on the first couple of seasons, I actually did like it.
I never even bothered to try it. I don't even watch TV.
When I first started watching it, I actually did really appreciate the nerd humor because there was nothing out there that actually spoke to me. Something that talked about comic books and Star Wars and Star Trek.
I mean, but they reference that stuff all the time. Like the very little of it that I saw, that was the entire humor of the show, is they would just like reference Star Wars. Like
that, I think that was
it.
The later
and
seasons.
They would just move on.
I think it was the later seasons, honestly, because in the beginning, that's what my memory is. I'm not going to die on this hill, but I will say my memory of it was. But even at the end of the day, even if it was just lip service, it felt like it was at least acknowledgement in the wider, on a TV show that goes to a wider audience that may not be into that people that are into that stuff aren't a bunch of unbathed losers. That's what I feel like it was really trying to accomplish with that, really.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everything's about money, and they probably just looked at market research and they're like, there's enough people that are into Star Wars that are also actually paying bills now and will actually buy down bounty paper towel rolls and stuff.
Yeah, and nobody that goes to college for that long actually gets a job that pays a livable wage, and no. Never happens.
Phil is just asking here, what's my opinion? What are our opinions on Bob Lazar's claims?
That's right. Yeah, he had asked that earlier in the chat. I was trying to scroll through to find other questions.
Yeah, we're sorry that if we've missed questions.
I'm not apologizing.
It's my show, so I have to apologize.
Okay, right. You apologize. I won't.
So the Bob Lazar claims. Are you familiar with the Bob Lazar claims?
Nope.
Okay, so Bob Lazar is a research scientist, and he's very clearly a research scientist. He's been on Joe Rogan, and there's a documentary on him on Netflix that you will hate. I know for a fact that you will hate it. But he's somebody that reported back in the 80s to have worked on Area 51 in a secret section of it called S4.
Oh, the secret section of Area 51, of the secret base.
Basically.
And the secret base and the secret layer of the secret section.
And I'll be honest, until about a year ago, I thought there was just no way at all. Right. I didn't have any... I had no way to justify his claims, because he was claiming to have been working on alien propulsion devices, basically from craft that had been recovered both in modern times but also dug up in archaeological digs.
Okay.
And it needed a specific element that we had
Unobtainium?
It was basically an unobtainium. It's now moscovium. It was element 115, which we now know is moscovium, which is a highly radioactive substance. The problem is moscovium has a half-life of something like 0.6 seconds.
Yeah, the end of the periodic table, everything in there is just, they can only keep it around for,
I don't necessarily consider myself a big Bob Lazar believer now, but I do leave room in my mind for the possibility where I didn't before. And the reason is because the claims that he made actually match up with modern stuff that is verifiable through government reports and things like that. Specifically about not only the shape of the craft, but the way these craft function, their behavior, the propulsion methods. Because the main propulsion method through these alien craft that we're seeing is that they basically create a gravity vacuum. So it's not that these craft are moving, they are warping space around them as like a stationary object.
That's the Alcubierre warp drive. That's the entire concept behind that.
Which is interesting because that's the same kind of warp drive that Bob Lazar claims to have been trying to recreate. The problem that they were running into is they could not figure out a way to stabilize element 115, which we now know is moscovium, which wasn't discovered officially until 2003 by some Russian scientists when they were bombarding some other atoms with a bunch of stuff I don't understand. I'm way too drunk to really explain it. But
yeah, that's how the entire end of the periodic table works.
Yeah. But anyway, Bob Lazar's claims, I feel I'm willing to not discount them entirely, because I still have some issues, but it's still right now. I'm just in the mode where it's just we gotta wait and see. Like, I'm with you and with Lamino, actually, who's another YouTube channel who made a really good video on this whole UAP thing, where what he's waiting on is something truly astounding, something that is just undeniable.
And that's what I'm waiting on. And again, I'm not saying that it's definitely not aliens or whatever. It's just I'm personally not convinced yet, and I am going to wait for the legit evidence. I have the same idea of it as like alternative medicine.
Okay,
alternative medicine that works is called medicine.
Yeah,
because then it's not alternative; it's just medicine because it's working. So if we have proof, then it's just we are now talking about aliens instead of unidentified flying objects or aerial. What's that? UAP, unidentified
aerial phenomena.
Yeah. That whatever it is, we'd be talking about it in a completely different context because we'd be talking about a real thing. Like we'd be talking about the science of it. It wouldn't be about if it exists. It would be about trying to figure out how they're moving.
It's fair.
So,
well, we'll answer one more question here from Phil.
Do you believe in life on other planets and other systems? Absolutely, yes. But I think we're too far away for them to have made any contact with. It's just a statistical impossibility that they don't exist. So they have to be there.
So I think a good qualifier for that is, because I'm with you, I believe other life forms on other planets absolutely exist. And I think they exist in our solar system. But
possibly on Europa.
Ganymede, possibly Titan. I don't know. But what I think
what I actually think is fascinating,
No, go ahead.
I think one of the most fascinating types of alien life that there could possibly be is actually in gas giants. Like having these big like jellyfish looking things that just like bob along and just soak up nutrients or whatever. But like with that dense of an atmosphere, it could theoretically happen. Like it's absolutely plausible that life could become active in huge gas giants that never even experiences a ground of any kind.
And all the life that we know of, and all the life that we know of is carbon based, and there's all sorts of speculation about exotic life that's based off of other.
Silicon is the other big contender.
Yeah, another one is silicon. A really good video you should check out is by Melody Sheep. He did a video. Amazing. Yeah, he did this whole video on life on other planets, where he actually talks to some scientists about the possibility of life being based on silicon rather than carbon. And he talks about how life on our planet possibly started off as purple, where we see green plants. The most primitive plants that we saw on this planet probably actually had more of a purplish color, and you'll have to watch this video to get a better explanation as to why. But it's
highly recommended. We're not going to be able to do it justice by just talking about it here, and we're out of time.
Yeah, we are out of time. But I was going to say, like, what's the difference? An important qualifier was going to be life versus intelligent life, and that's a whole other conversation.
Oh, yeah. But my answer is yes on that, too.
I think so, too. I do. But
why do I believe that? Find out
next time. Same bat channel. So Thursdays at 8 p.m., we're going to be doing Night Talks every week. Central Thursdays, time. 8 p.m. CST. And look forward to having you guys again. Once again, Night Talks is brought to you by viewer contributions and supporters over on patreon.com/NightDocs. Want to thank, once again, my co-host today, Bryce.
Very happy to be here.
Yeah.
We'll try and make it a regular occurrence. We're trying to do it every single Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time. I would love to see more of you. And it sounds like everyone wants to see more of me.
Yeah, that's really encouraging.
Good. Or at least Teak. I didn't see anybody else.
Right, yeah.
Fuck the rest
only
of you.
Teak, yeah. Well, once again, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Be sure to check out youtube.com/NightDocs if you haven't already. And then be sure to check out patreon.com/NightDocs to support this and many other endeavors that we're trying to do here with NightDocs Media. And with that, we will end that here. And thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.